casual racism then. So we talked about racist jokes. You've given some examples where you know, in your NS bunk, for example, you say, well, that's okay, and then right at the other end, in front of an audience, someone like Russell Peters, someone like Kumar, racist jokes. But that's where there's a clear intent to entertain, or a clear intent to develop a friendship or be part of a relationship. But what about the similar types of comments around stereotypes? People label it as casual racism. And I'm presuming that this is because no one has any intent of humor behind it. But how do we then deal with that? If the same words, the same stereotype, on one hand is interpreted as a joke, but it's okay even if it's a bit racist, because you know. But on the other hand, you interpret it as casual racism because you had absolutely no sort of good intent behind it. How do we deal with that problem then, where you don't know where the line is between casual racism and a racist joke?
There was an incident where a TV show was filmed, and one of the actors, who was Chinese, he was made up in the blackface.
Yes.
So that was unintended casual racism, I think. But they didn't see it; they saw it as a joke.
Right.
But of course, once it was out on the internet, and you know, a lot of the minority races were complaining, and they were genuinely hurt and angry and appalled. But this was also a great learning curve for the producers and everyone else involved in the show, or not, to see that, you know, it's not really funny. And they still do this in the United States as well, where some people during Halloween dress up in blackface as well, and they don't they don't see that it's offensive, but they do it anyway because they think it's funny, and they're just going to think everyone's going to laugh with them. There are people who are complaining, but there are those who come forward, if you read the comments, to say, you know, this is why it's offensive and you're making people angry. So if these people really join in the dialogue, then they know, oh yeah, okay, what I did was wrong and I'm sorry.
If we say that these jokes with racist jokes, right? So they're okay because, you know, we're NS mates, or we're friends, or we have a certain level of intimacy, or I'm out to entertain, and so therefore, and my audience laughs, it's all okay. But to what extent are we giving then permission for what can be interpreted as casual racism, where there's absolutely no intent to entertain, to be humorous, to be friendly?
A few examples that I've encountered. People will come and use certain words like, oh, for a Malay, you are quite smart.
Yes.
You know?
Or my favorite is you people.
You people, yeah. So, I mean, the way I deal with it is, firstly, I think we need to call out this kind of words used that are not right. But the way we call it out is also important. It's like, of course, we are not going to just point the finger and say, oh, you're racist, because we are not sure of the intent behind it. And therefore, I will tend to be more charitable in the sense that I will take it that that person does it, you know, did it subconsciously, so there's no ill intent, and therefore it's a point to educate the person. You know, it's not very nice what you said because, you know, certain things. So it can be a learning point like what you said. And it's also important for us to check ourselves, not to jump at every situation and just point at the person and say you are racist, because that's not going to help situation. Because by that you are actually, you know, making the person more on the defensive, and you're not addressing the situation. Because I would take it that generally Singaporeans don't mean to be racist, but because we have not talked about racism for so many years, we do not know how to deal with certain way we construct our sentences. We are not conscious of the things behind our words and things like that. So it's a learning point.
But so that example that you gave, where people sort of demonstrate their bias, and that's basically what it is, right? You're demonstrating bias. You don't necessarily mean to be racist, but you actually have a racist bias, which is coming out in some of the speech. So I'm going to get back to the same issue. How much of our biases around stereotypes are reinforced by our willingness to use race as a conversation, whether it's in a joke or not?
Yeah, I think one issue we need to think about is how our surroundings are all, many of our things around us are racialized. One of it is our CMIO model. Our self-help groups are racialized in a sense. So, like it or not, we are always being conscious that race is a major factor in our everyday life. And therefore, people cannot run away from thinking about race. And that's where it enters into the conversation, even though the situation may not necessitate racial discussions, you know. Sometimes, for example, in MRT situation, you know, it's crowded, people are infringing on your personal space, you know. It's a matter of space. and we are living in a very complex environment. But the first thing that triggers us is the racialized aspect of it. Oh, this person is Chinese or Indian. I don't like the smell, and those kind of things are problem. But the real situation may have nothing to do with race.
Yeah. But one of the issues, of course, is that race is very visible. It's something that you know about somebody. You don't ask for their IC before you work out some bias within yourself about this person and yourself, right? It's an externally, instantly, you judge instantly people, and then your bias comes through. Like gender, like age, race is there. And so I suppose there is a little bit of a calibration about the personal that you have there. You sort of then maybe adjust what you can say, what you can't say, or what you can do and what you can't do. So should we adjust more around race? In other words, overcompensate in order to be, much more neutral, or should we be, just very comfortable about this as a way then of bringing out some of these biases and talk about it more?
Yeah, I think we should talk about it more.
Talk about it more.
Yeah,
So
bring out those biases so that it's a point of education, and see what aspect of, it's not to obliterate the fact that we all have certain ethnic background and things like that, but to talk about it in a positive ways and not to latch on into negative stereotypes.